everyone, and thank you for patiently waiting. Welcome to our National Graduate Week. I'm your host, Josh from CareerMap TV, and today we're joined by ECITB. During this session, we'll learn what it's like to work at ECITB, and get some great insights from current employees. There will be a Q&A segment at the end of the webinar, so feel free to leave any questions in the chat box, and we'll get back to them after the presentation. So without further ado, I'll now pass it over to the ECITB team to start their session. Off you go, guys.
Good morning, everybody. It's fantastic to see so many of you here today. My name is Matt Parker, and I am the Head of Careers and Inclusion for the ECITB, or the Engineering Construction Industry Training Board. And I promise that will make more sense as we move through this. So we're here today to talk to you a little bit about the engineering construction industry. Now, the chances are you are going to have come across this either in your studies over the last few years or in your day-to-day lives, but you won't necessarily have joined the dots together to determine why it's so important. And that's what we're going to do today. Now, I'm going to spend the next couple of minutes explaining why engineering construction careers are critical to our daily existence before handing the reins over to some colleagues we have joining us from across our industry sectors who are going to talk to you about some of their respective graduate programs and insights from their own organizations. We're also extremely fortunate to have an engineer with us today who is sat exactly where you have not so long ago, and you'll hear more from her shortly about her journey and career so far. Now, along the way, we've included some QR codes on the slides, and you can use these to learn more about each topic and area of interest as we move through. So, engineering construction. What does that mean exactly? Move to my next slide. Engineering construction is huge in terms of its scope, and its work covers activities throughout the entire life cycle of a project, including the concept and engineering design, procurement, project management, construction, installation, commissioning, testing, maintenance, and dismantling. It's huge. The engineering construction industry, or the ECI as we call it, is the cornerstone of Britain's energy and process industries. ECI companies design, engineer, construct, and decommission some of the biggest infrastructure projects in the country and across the globe today. Now, engineering construction operates across multiple diverse industries, and it supports around 190,000 jobs in the United Kingdom. Like I said, huge. So engineering construction is actually the term that we give to 8 individual sectors, which you can see on the screen in front of you right now. I'll just give you a quick run through of what each of those sectors are and what it means. We have the renewable sector, which produces energy using the Earth's natural resources like wind, wave, and biomass. Energy from renewables is clean, it's affordable, and it's increasingly reliable. This sector has been experiencing a significant growth for the last decade, and that growth continues to gather pace year on year. We have the pharmaceutical sector, produces vital drugs and medicines for UK and global use. In a world that's subject to global pandemics and the re-emergence of diseases like polio in some countries over the last few years, it's hard to emphasize just how critical this industry pocket is. We have the chemical sector, which is highly diverse and impacts almost every aspect of our daily lives. The 3D print market, for example, relies heavily on the UK chemical industry. Also on there, we have the food and drink sector. Now, this is the biggest manufacturing industry in the UK. Food and drink is larger than automotive and aerospace combined. Examples of this sector's produce is everything from bread to beer. We then have power generation. Now, this is the design, the construction, and the maintenance of power stations and turbines, anything that generates electricity for us to use. On there also, you can see is oil and gas. Now, oil and gas is still hugely critical in today's world. Everything from the manufacturing of materials to make smartphones and tablets to keeping our houses warm. We're a long way from not needing oil and gas anymore. And this industry is actually critical in moving towards a lower carbon future. A lot of its efforts right now are focused on decarbonization of its existing assets. The nuclear industry, which provides more than 20% of the country's current electricity. It's increasingly considered a reliable and low carbon energy source. And then last, but certainly not least, is water treatment. This provides everything from drinking water to our homes, to our wastewater services, including sewage treatment to houses, commercial units, and our industrial sectors across the UK. From that very, very short and basic explanation, hopefully you can see just how much of our industry is entwined into the very fabric of daily existence. Now, going back to who we are and the ECITB is the Engineering Construction Industry Training Board. We are the statutory skills organisation for engineering construction in Great Britain. Now, we're sponsored by the Department for Education, and we work with central government, ECI companies, some of which you'll hear from shortly, training providers and educational bodies to attract, develop and qualify people that work in the engineering construction industry. In short, we're here to make sure that workers have the right skills to do the necessary jobs. It sounds simple, but engineering construction is hugely complex, but with those complexities come huge opportunities. As you can see there, our vision is a trailblazing engineering industry where critical infrastructure, energy security, and that should mean a lot to everyone here right now, and our net zero ambitions are ultimately achieved. The ECITB works closely with central, Scottish and Welsh governments to promote industry needs across the UK and beyond. Now, like I said, we're lucky to have some guest speakers with us here today. And first of all, I want to hand over to Laurie-Anne Williams. Laurie-Anne Williams is a civil engineer from RB Plant, and she's going to talk to you for a few minutes about her perspective from a graduate. Laurie-Anne, over to you.
Hi, everybody, and thank you, Matt, for the introduction. Yeah, hi, everyone. My name is Laurie-Anne, and yeah, I'll be sharing my insights with you about the graduate's perspective. I am a civil engineer at RB Plant, and I've been working for RB Plant for over 5 years now. I joined RB Plant in 2018 as a graduate civil engineer. And a bit about RB Plant: they are an engineering and design consultancy based just outside of Maidstone in Kent, and they work in the manufacturing sector. So most of RB Plant's clients are different types of manufacturers, from pharmaceuticals, food, paper, oil and gas, you name it. And we're a multidisciplinary organization, which means I work with various other disciplines as well. So about the graduate's perspective. So personally, my career pathway into becoming a civil engineer, initially I didn't know that I wanted to be a civil engineer, and I didn't know that I was going to be working in the construction industry. But I think later on in my teens, I sort of knew that I wanted to work within the construction industry, and that was roughly maybe in about year 9. So when I was about 13 or so, I knew that I did want to pursue some sort of career in the construction industry, and that came mainly from family members, because I had very close family members that worked in construction. So they gave me that support where I could sort of dive in and see whereabouts in the construction industry that I might be able to pursue a career in. So initially during high school, I mainly took my own initiative to do my own research and kind of see what careers were out there in the construction industry, what linked to my interest in terms of the subjects I was taking at the time. So I was in year 9, so considering to do GCSE. So I was just looking at subjects that I was good at the time. I enjoyed science. I actually enjoyed maths quite a bit, and I was doing well in maths when it came to my GCSEs. I'd done well in maths, and I did do well in sciences for my GCSEs as well. So it was mainly me just looking at the subjects I was studying at the time, subjects that I was doing well in. And doing that independent research and seeing what careers links to these sort of subjects. And also I did identify that, I was quite a creative person growing up. I love to problem solve, and also quite a deep thinker. So when you think about it, civil engineering is quite a good match for people that have those sort of attributes. And also, it was quite pressurizing at that age when you are trying to find out what career you want to pursue, because it is quite pivotal. You're making life-changing choices, in high school, and a lot of my friends were wanted to go into like business studies at the time. That was quite a popular GCSE subject choice to choose, but that wasn't anything related to what I was interested in. I enjoyed sciences and I was doing well in maths. In fact, I'd done well for my GCSEs in maths and science. So I kind of continued that and took up physics and chemistry for A levels, and maths mechanics for A levels as well. So I just wanted to kind of be independent and try and find my own way to my career. And in year 12, there was a bit of a change in my pathway because I didn't get the grades I expected for my first year of A levels. Although I'd done so well in GCSEs, I didn't do as well for A levels in the sciences and also in maths. So I decided to enroll in a college course where I'd done a BTEC in electrical and electronic engineering, and it just wasn't for me, perhaps maybe, academic wise in A levels, but I did find something that did work for me. And doing that electrical and electronic course was like maybe the best thing that worked out for me, because it was a level 3 BTEC level 3 extended diploma, and I actually done really well. I'd got 2 distinction stars and a distinction. And then I decided to then enrolled to study civil engineering at university. So it was a bit of a change in pathway at the end, but at the end I ended up choosing civil engineering. The reason why I took the sciences for A levels because I decided I wanted to be a chemical engineer, so hence the chemistry and the physics, but because of the grades didn't work out, I then changed that and then eventually done a degree in civil engineering, and later on in life done a master's also in civil engineering. So the typical day of a civil engineer, so every day is different. Personally for me, every day is pretty much different. So I could be designing, costing, doing specifications, structural surveys, calculations, and also at the moment I am currently working from home. Also, I could be in meetings as well, whether that's internal team meetings with my colleagues to exchange updates on project progress, and also meetings with the client. I could be liaising with all types of people, so suppliers, contractors, my internal team, and also different disciplines within my organization, because as we're multidisciplinary, we have various other disciplines that I work with, like process engineers and mechanical engineers, and also liaising with the drawing office as well. So exchanging information with the drawing office, and so that they can produce drawings with our designs. And as a civil engineer, like the typical kind of work I'm actually doing is the type of projects will be like designing foundations for different buildings or plinths for machinery, because as I mentioned, I work in the manufacturing sector. So a lot of our designs is kind of plinths for machinery, platforms for machinery to sit on, and the type of buildings I'll be designing are like process rooms, switch rooms as well, plant rooms, and also heavily involved in drainage design as well. And also I could be attending site now and again. So I could be visiting site maybe early days in a project to gain information from site, and also later on in the project. So during the construction stage, when you need to oversee construction, just to make sure that what's been built is as per the design. So the best and worst part about my job. So the best things is, as I mentioned, no day is the same. So you're always doing something new, and it does make work more enjoyable, because if every day was the same, it might get a bit boring. So it makes work really, exciting, because every day is different and you have different challenges that you come across as well. And it does actually make you gain more of an understanding of the industry. also growth and learning opportunities. There is lots of ways that you can grow within your company, and I really like the fact that there's lots of learning opportunities there for me. And because it's a collaborative environment, I work with other disciplines. I actually am learning from my other colleagues at work, and work-life balance, because I'm now working from home. Like, since the pandemic, a lot of things are changing now. A lot of people are working from home, and that's kind of brought in that more flexibility with my working hours, which I do enjoy. Worst things, I wouldn't say they're the worst, but maybe like bit difficult is, I talked about work-life balance, but it can be difficult sometimes to maintain that, because the engineering industry, it's non-stop, and sometimes you can be working overtime, because it depends on the project you're working on. Really, you might have a really busy project, a quite demanding one, and despite working from home and having that flexibility, it can be sometimes difficult to switch off work at 5 o'clock, because the project is still rolling and emails might still be coming in from other people. And what's challenging at times, I think, is, off my previous point, is that fast environment that I think you can get in the engineering sector, because you have critical deadlines to meet on projects as well, and some clients can be challenging depending on who you're dealing with. So it's just about managing that aspect of the work, which can cause a little bit of stress sometimes when you're overwhelmed with a lot of work to do. But on the flip side, it can make you a better problem solver, because when you're when you reach like challenges in your work and you overcome them, it does make you learn more from those situations. Well, it has made me learn more from those situations. So my views of the industry and expectations before working in the field. So yeah, I had some expectations before working in the field, and I was surprised by a few things. But generally, there is a lot of support that is there for you, especially starting out in the industry, especially as a graduate. You may feel that you're not supported as much, but actually you are not alone. I guess everybody, in your workplace has been through the same situation as you, just starting out, as a graduate. So there's always going to be colleagues there that will be able to support you through that journey as a graduate or in your early careers. And also, it's about asking questions as well and not feeling that you're alone. So no question is silly, really, because there are going to be people that are there to help you. And also the pace of change. It can be, things can evolve quite quickly. So especially in new technologies, regulations, industry conditions, they're always changing, especially the implementation of AI now. I know in my workplace, they're trying to introduce a trial using Copilot as well. So lots of things are changing, and also sometimes your contract can change as well, which I experienced. And networking is just very important. And I realized that more than ever now working, that it is very important. Like webinars like this, meeting new people, networking with different people, it can actually open lots of opportunities for you. Also, work-life balance, I kind of talked about that. It is slightly harder to maintain, I guess, depending on, the types of projects you're working on, might involve a bit more commitment from you. And also what's important is, when you're at university, you're learning a lot of theory, but it's a lot different when you're now in the field, where you're actually doing more practical way. So that's a bit of a change as well. And what I noticed as well is that there's just lots of different people that are involved in a project, or lots of moving parts in a project. So typically, there's like subcontractors, there's the client, there's the client's team, there's consultants, engineers, suppliers, and specialist consultants as well. So there's a lot of different people working on one project as well. So those are kind of like some of the expectations that I didn't sort of expect before starting in this field. So the transition from university to working in the field, I think overall the transition was okay. But I think initially it can be overwhelming. So, you know, starting as a graduate, maybe like for your first day, for example, can be a bit overwhelming. Just getting used to the company culture and the workplace environment. I did do work experience in the past, but it wasn't related to civil engineering, so it can be a bit, you know, of a bit of a change transitioning from university, because especially if you've not had that work experience in this specific field that you're starting in. And I think I touched on that, like it's a bit of a learning curve. You know, you think you've learned, you know, enough when you leave university, but when you start working, it's a different it's a totally different, like you'll be constantly learning as you're on the job, which is a really good thing as well. And yeah, I kind of touched on, you know, the theory learned at university is not directly applied, but the fundamentals are applied indirectly when you're working in this field. Also, you have to kind of get used to balancing your time on multiple projects as well, and meeting deadlines. So time management is key, and just keep being able to keep up with the latest technology as well. And you're always going to be learning new skills and always going to be trained as well throughout your time at work. So expect to be kind of continuously learning and keeping up to date with, you know, the latest technologies. And I think the best thing is that, you know, seeing your work make a difference can be fulfilling. So you'll be doing like coursework at university, for instance, on like project case studies, but you know, when you're working in the field and working on real life projects, it could be fulfilling that you're actually making a difference and contributing towards something that's helping other people as well. So I think that was my last slide. So yeah, thank you for listening. And I think I'm handing over to Ginny.
You are. I'm just going to, before I hand over to Ginny, just going to say we've got some questions appearing in the chat now. We're actually going to wait till the end to do a bit of a Q&A. We've got some questions coming in on our social media channels as well. But yeah, please do keep firing questions in the chat and we will come to them at the end. Over to you, Ginny.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Matt. And what an inspiring presentation from Lorianne. There's so many points there that resonate with me. Good morning, everybody. My name is Ginny Joyce. I'm the HR Director at Aquaterra Energy. And my job today is to introduce you to our engineering graduate programme. Before I do, let me tell you a little bit about us as an organisation. So Aquaterra Energy is an engineering firm. We were founded just about 20 years ago, slightly shy of 20 years ago, and we're headquartered in Norwich in East Anglia. Our mission in life is to provide equipment and engineering solutions to the global offshore energy industry. And I think this slide shows you who we work for and where we work as well. We have offices in Europe, in Australia, and also in the Far East. One of the things I just wanted to touch on, because it always comes up when we're talking to graduates or undergraduates at open days and also at our assessment centres, is to look at the environmental impact the environmental considerations and the impact in the energy industry, and an industry that is transitioning, as Matt referenced at the beginning of this webinar. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of things that are really important to us as an organisation from an ESG perspective. And like many companies, we started to think about how could we lower our carbon emissions and how could we help our clients to do the same. And one of our highlights is that we created our own in-house carbon calculator tool, which enables our clients to estimate their own carbon emissions, their projects, which has been a very useful tool for them and is used in tenders and proposals. A bit closer to home, we also said that we wanted to put zero to landfill in 2023, and therefore 100% of our waste is recycled. We achieved that in 2023, and we look like we're going to do the same again in 2024. And just one other statistic I'd pull out from this slide that you can see is our training hours. And definitely a nod to ECITB, we couldn't do this without them. I'm very proud of the fact that we managed to achieve 11,000 hours of training for our staff. And as Lorianne said, as an engineer and as a developing engineer, it's always a school day. You never stop learning, you never stop your CPD, and you never stop being trained. So to be able to apply that training with ECITB's support has been fantastic, and our graduates get a great deal of support from that. So training takes us very neatly into our programme. So let me tell you a little bit about that. In terms of context, we're a reasonably small engineering firm, about 100 employees. Over 50% of our employees are engineers. And this year we have 8 graduates going through the programme. One of the important parts about our programme is that we're accredited by both the institution's mechanical engineers and also the Civil Institute. And that's very important to us because, as again Lorianne touched on, it's important to have people around you, mentors, managers, supporters, people who are going to train you and actually teach you how to go to work quite a lot of the time. That's very important when you come out as an undergraduate and then come into the workplace as a graduate. We employ graduates right across the mix, probably mostly in mechanical engineering, but certainly with a nod to ESG, we now take more environmental scientists than we've ever done before, physicists, mathematicians, chemical engineers, electrical engineers, and so on. So when you're coming out of university, you may not know, as Lorianne said earlier, you may not know what you want to do, but there are always going to be opportunities in an organisation. So our programme, in terms of the content, it's really divided into 2 parts. The first part is that this first 6 months is around departmental rotation. So you come into our organisation and we get you to work in lots of different departments just to get a feel for what Aquaterra is like. So that could be working in our QHSE department, it could be working in our operations base, it could be working in design or offshore analysis, but just to kind of get a feel for what the organisation does from a project management and a project engineering perspective. Then you go into your home department and you spend the next 18 months there continuously learning, working with your mentors and very much following a structured training plan that is supported by the ECITB. I pull out just a few of the highlights here. One of the things that's important to us, because we do, well, 85% of our work last year was in overseas waters. Offshore work and ensuring that the graduates get a taste of going offshore is very important to us. So our plan, and it's quite ambitious, is to ensure that in the first couple of years of working with Aquaterra, you've got 100 days offshore. Now maybe that's working on with clients, or it could be in a yard, so just going overseas rather than offshore. But it's taking a look at the real life, what you're designing, what you're working on, what you're project managing, and seeing it in action. The journey to chartership also starts whether you're going for a C-Eng or I-Eng, and again, we put, as I said earlier, we put mentors firmly in place to support and scaffold your learning. And I think another thing that our graduates have been really successful in doing is being STEM ambassadors and taking their enthusiasm and their knowledge for the engineering industry and taking that out into colleges, schools, locally to us, and inspiring hopefully the next generation of engineers. And another highlight for us has been participation in the ECITB's Active Cup Challenge. And the photograph at the bottom there is some 4 smiling faces. They took part in that challenge a couple of years ago, and I think they came second, possibly to Wood, so maybe we'll try and improve that next time around. So a day in the life, a little bit as Lorianne said, no day is the same. It can be very, very different. So our graduates could be visiting our suppliers, again, very important for understanding the supply chain and logistics and project management. Could be attending design reviews, understanding lessons learned, what went right last time, what went wrong last time, how can we improve and go through continuous improvement. Again, spending time at our operations base and getting hands-on with the kit is really important. And in order to go offshore, our graduates have to go through their offshore survival course. As I mentioned, STEM activities are critical, but also because we're in a safety critical industry, all of our graduates are invited to create a safety poster for our business. And that safety poster, if you ever come to Aquaterra's head office here in Norwich, we have a hall of fame in our reception where all our safety posters are put up, and they're presented at board level and at team meetings, so it's really important. Now, I'm going to move to a video now, so don't take my word for it. I'm going to show you a little video of one of our departmental managers who he started as a graduate. In fact, he started as an intern, and we interviewed him a couple of years ago. So let's hope I can make this play for you now.
So my experience of joining Aquaterra as a graduate was a great one. I joined in 2014 following finishing my university degree in civil and structural engineering, and was welcomed with open arms into the team. Since then, I've now done 8 years working in all of our departments, and really excitingly, I'm going to be transitioning over to the energy engineering, looking at offshore green hydrogen and wind in the coming months. A very exciting challenge for us. And good question. So a typical day for me at Aquaterra sees me liaise with the team, work out problems, find solutions to the issues which we've currently got on active projects, working with clients, internal and external stakeholders, and a myriad of people all around the world, finding the best things that we can do in the short amount of timescales that we normally work in. It's always a challenge, but it's always rewarding.
So that's it from me. Thank you so much for listening. Apologies if that video was a little bit garbled, but we just wanted to let you know you can learn more about Aquaterra by joining us either on our website or on LinkedIn, and our 2025 graduate programme will be open shortly. So thank you very much for your time today, and I'll hand back to Matt.
Thanks, Jenny. I'm going to hand now to Andy Lawrence. Andy is the Deputy Global Chief, Control Systems and Electrical at Bechtel. Andy, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Well, you've had two very good presentations so far. Hopefully I will keep that going. As Matt said, I'm Andy Lawrence. I'm Bechtel's Deputy Global Chief for Control Systems, Electrical and Telecoms. And I'm based in our Chiswick office in London. So we'll have a little bit of an overview about who and what Bechtel are, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about our graduate programme. Being as I'm Control Systems, I'm unashamedly going to plug Control Systems, but we can talk a little more about some of the other disciplines. So, who are Bechtel, effectively? Bechtel are a private company. We are now in year 126. Globally, we have 23,000 plus employees, 100 plus nationalities, and I guess crucially, we have 10,000 plus employees who, depending where you are in the world, for the UK, that means you are either an incorporated engineer, IEng, or chartered engineer. For the US, you're a professional engineer. I can't answer too many questions on that, but my colleagues certainly can. So Bechtel cover a multitude of industries, and Matt touched on a lot of these at the start. We are involved in everything from infrastructure to energy to nuclear, mining and metals. The list goes on. So over those 125 years, kind of what have we been doing? We do a lot of critical infrastructure. Any of you who are based in London, if you've been on the Elizabeth line, we played a part in that. Any of you who've gone under the tunnel, under the Channel Tunnel, we've done that as well. So infrastructure in the UK, we have a lot of involvement there. And energy less so, but as we move now towards energy transition and sustainability, we're looking at more and more projects within the UK. We get a lot involved, master planning of CO2, hydrogen. For example, we're looking at projects in both India and Australia on those topics at the moment. Advanced fuels, carbon capture, wind and solar. It's very difficult to pick an industry, particularly in engineering and construction, that Bechtel don't have some degree of input into. So what do we do? As you've heard so far, key for us now is getting towards net zero. On your screen, you can see a number of our business units. I'm part of energy. So we're looking at hydrogen, we're looking at carbon capture. We can't survive, the world can't survive on that alone. So, we have downstream and chemicals, we have liquefied natural gas, we do a lot with water treatment. Infrastructure, again, they partner with us a lot for the clean energy and the energy storage. some of the other, I won't touch on all of because it's there's too many to talk about. So Energy in London. We cover the whole project life cycle. We do work from studies and pre-feed, looking at concepts and very, very early engineering, through to feed, where we typically have a greater level of definition. We move through to EPC, engineering, procurement and construction, where we will do a full detailed design. We will look at safety, operability in the office, and then we will go through to construction and startup. There's opportunities for all of our graduates in each phase of this, and people are actively encouraged to move from one phase to the next. I'm, if you like, a prime example of that. I've been across this whole spectrum, and the first 10 years I spent with Bechtel. The longest I spent in our London office was 1 year. So quite a busy map of the globe here, but it gives you a flavour of where we are working globally. Bechtel, being an American company, have got a lot of work obviously in the US. On the Gulf Coast at the moment, we have 3 or 4 different projects, all looking at liquefied natural gas. We're doing work in the UK, we're doing work in Egypt, in India, Thailand, Taiwan, Australia. I was talking to a colleague the other day, and the only continents we haven't actually done a project is Antarctica. So the opportunities for travel, and that was touched on in the previous slide, you know, if you come into this industry, you will get a lot of training, you will be actively encouraged, and you will certainly have the opportunity to travel. So early career hires, you know, what do we want when we bring in an ECH on or a graduate? You know, our goal without fail is for all of our engineers to become chartered. We have specific development programs. I look after control systems and electrical, but we have the same for process, mechanical, for plant design and piping, for civil structural. We look after, we support, we manage all of our ECHs until they achieve that chartership status. What that involves, they will have quarterly reviews with mentors, that we have an annual performance review. They will have a mentor and a buddy, and we have regular catch-ups from my side with the IET to discuss how each of the graduates are progressing, and to make sure that, you know, they're up to date with their CPD, their quarterly reports, they're being maintained, and they're an accurate reflection of what they are doing, with view to meeting the competencies for them to become chartered. So kind of touched on it a couple of slides ago, types of work for the professional engineers here at Bechtel. Full range of technical design tasks through to construction. We will do a lot of work with equipment specifications, defining what it is we would like to buy, and then we will then actually create the requisitions, and we will go and buy that equipment. Once it's been awarded, we work with the vendors, the subcontractors, to review their work and to manage their work and make sure that what we are getting exactly what it is we've asked for. And then we have the opportunity to go to site. You can support the construction, you can support installation, you can support commissioning. Obviously, as it's engineering, we have progress to report as well. So there'll be project controls, management tasks. You know, we all have to keep track of budgets, and as an ECH, that's something we will bring you on with as you get more experience. It won't be something we ask you to do on day one. That would be incredibly unfair. But as you get towards the end of your ECH scheme, then it's something we would start introducing you to. Okay, here we have a very simplified engineering career map. So, excuse me, typically as an ECH would start here on the left-hand side. This simple looking one box is actually the duration of the ECH scheme, about 4 years. So we would look for you to become chartered here. Once you've done that, there are a number of different avenues that you can take. Using myself as an example, I came in here. I didn't join Bechtel as a graduate, but shortly after I came this way, I became an engineering professional. I became a senior engineer. I became an engineering supervisor, and I'm now the chief engineer. Depending on how things go, next step, manager of engineering. We'll cross that bridge in time. But between all of these career paths, if you choose technical specialist, you are not pigeonholed into that. You will know, hopefully you can see clearly, all of these lines are bidirectional. So huge range of opportunities and different roles for you within the company. Try next again. Okay, so with the IET specifically, we have technical competencies A to E, or we have competencies A to E, I should say. A and B being technical. So on your screen, here are a list of, from a control systems perspective, of some of the tasks you will perform, be engaged with, that will help you meet those competencies. So specifications of instruments, cause and effect diagrams, essentially logic drawings, cybersecurity reviews, package compliance. We won't talk through all of them. For electrical, you get to do power system design. You will specify and you will procure the electrical and the telecoms equipment. You will look at relay studies. Good point here, electrical estimating tools. We will, whether it's control systems or electrical, we will be involved in producing quantities and material takeoffs. Leadership covers competencies C and D. So looking at material quality, very poor, job hour estimates in 2024. It's a throwback to the past there. Schedules, controlling budgets and progressing against schedules. You'll become more involved in reporting, staff development, and you'll have greater interaction with both management, clients, vendors, and certain national authorities. Professional conduct. Bechtel takes this very, very seriously. You are expected to comply with our visions, values, and commitments. To the point we get training, ethics training every year. Don't get caught out by that. Bechtel will let you go in a heartbeat if you do something unethical. Procedures, we have My Required Reading, which basically ensures everybody in the company, not just the ECHs, are fully aware of all of our procedures and policies, and we have a lot of them. Project specific, national, international standards. Safe design is absolutely key. HSE and safety and the ability to stop work, everybody has that. You're actively encouraged for your continual professional development, and as I touched on at the start, regular ethics workshops. That may be the last slide. Sorry, it's not. So here's just a few examples of the training that we will do. So the technical training, area classification, power systems, lighting design, specifications of instruments, of valves, alarm systems, non-technical ethics, report writing, soft skills, etc. So I think that is the last one. So I will hand back to Matt, who appeared. So perhaps I've slightly overrun my 7 minutes there. So Matt.
Not at all, Andy. Last speaker for the morning before we head into Q&A, and we have got quite a few questions coming in either on the chat or through social media. So I'm going to hand straight over to Letitia Parnell, who is the HR operations partner at Atkins Realis.
Thank you very much, Matt, and thank you to all the speakers who have gone before me. Hopefully you can hear and see me. So hello, my name is Letitia Parnell. I'm the HR operations partner at Atkins Realis. Atkins Realis is an engineering and project management firm, and we partner with global clients across every continent. So our sectors that we excel in are building and construction, infrastructure, transportation, and nuclear. We have over 35,000 employees, and the type of projects that we have worked on is such as HS2, Dubai Opera House, A14 highways, and Canadian infrastructure. As an ops partner, I'm aligned mainly to the nuclear business, so I may be a bit one-sided today, but I'll do my best to try and cover the full AtkinsRéalis infrastructure. Before I do that, I wanted to get on to a video, so I'm just going to start that video now. Hopefully this will play for you.
From a young age, I loved designing and building things. It was always pretty clear to me that it was my path.
My previous work was great, but I still didn't feel 100% fulfilled. I was still on the search for my purpose in life.
I was always fascinated by the built environment, but the engineering industry was a bit of a mystery to me. I didn't see many role models that could light my path.
We traveled around a lot when I was growing up, saw so many incredible places and experienced so many cultures. I knew I needed to work in an industry that was truly international.
I was never 100% sure of what job I wanted, or which particular industry I wanted to be in. But I was certain that I wanted to be challenged in my work and passionate about what I do.
On the graduate scheme, I get to work with amazing people from all backgrounds on some incredible projects. But the best thing is, I get to lead on projects that have real, tangible impact on communities. It's the best feeling.
My apprenticeship at AtkinsRéalis has given me the structure, support, and opportunities to learn. And flexible working means I can have a great work-life balance.
I'm surrounded by so much expertise and brilliance. The impact my work has is incredible. I see it every day in the real world.
I get to work with people from all over the world. I help to ensure that AtkinsRéalis's commitment to sustainability is delivered, which means so much to me.
The culture here is so supportive, as are the employee networks. My teams not only want the projects we work on to succeed, but they want me to succeed.
I know that when I look back at my career at AtkinsRéalis, I will be known as a change maker, an innovator, someone who opened doors and was a role model for those behind me.
I feel I have direction, I have purpose, and I have the support around me to go for it.
So thank you for that. I think the gist of the video was just to kind of demonstrate that those who do start with us as grads or even as experienced hires will really go on to have fruitful careers within AtkinsRéalis, down to the varied roles that they get involved in. So just a one-stop store about graduates in nuclear. Within our nuclear infrastructure, we are global and we have international experts who partner with our clients to deal with effective and complex challenges that they have. So we support major players such as EDF, nuclear power stations, and also Darlington Nuclear Station in Canada. Our markets there, you can see at the bottom, is nuclear new build, reactor support and life extensions, environmental remediation through major projects, decommissioning and waste. And we're also internationally, so we have a lot of international operations. For the nuclear business, we are settled in the Middle East, France, Germany, and of course, Canada. So what does our grad scheme look like and what does it consist of? It's a full and exciting program, and in AtkinsRéalis, we take on about 500 grads per year, and this number is increasing year on year. Our grad scheme is always open, and what that means is that we do have a large intake of our grads joining us in the autumn of every year, but we do start grad contracts at any point during the year. It's an experience of mixed live events and virtual masterclasses, excuse me, that our graduates go on. We see early careers as our next generation of leaders, and therefore we invest really heavily into the personal and professional life and well-being of our graduates. Our grads receive mentorship and support through their chartership. And as an employee in Atkins Realis, you make a difference and you're being involved in networks that we have. So that suit any of your beliefs or interests. So we have an Embrace network or an Empower network, Equilibrium network. They all begin with E, but they're there to inspire our next generation and our employees within our organisation to get involved. So let's have a look at what our grads actually get up to within Atkins Realis. So I'm going to spam you with loads of pictures, but it's really inspiring stuff, I promise. So our grads, this is a view of our GAP monthly forum, and GAP in our organisation means our graduates, apprentices and placements. And as you can see here, they're having various talks in that top left picture. That's they're in our Lava Lab based out in Bristol. And they're having a TED Talk, an inspirational talk about the different things that they can get up to as being grads. We have speakers, international speakers and internal speakers within our organisation come and speak to our grads. They have a forum called Chatkins, and that is, it talks about their chartership and the next ways of how they can achieve that also. They send out a monthly newsletter as well, so that all the grads have an update as to what's happening in the business, in the life of Atkins, and also the life of graduates as well. Just moving on to the next slide. Various of our grads actually move and relocate to our offices. So we have offices as north of Scotland and the south as London, and as I say, international offices as well. And if someone is to relocate to those offices, it's really important that they meet people and socialise and create those bonds and networking. So there are various activities that our grads get involved in. As you can see, there's some walking, football, clubs and games, and events. So there is a gap weekend that our grads get involved in. It's an annual thing that they do every single year. And just in reference to nuclear, so this is just our nuclear cohort that go out and do this weekend away, but it is in the life of any type of division that you join within Atkins Realis. So this weekend away is an opportunity for the grads to meet each other again, to settle together, and they also meet with our lead team, so our managing directors and global leaders who physically come to this weekend away and spend time with our grads. And they actually give them a really interesting project to work on for the weekend that is a live problem or solution that they're looking for within the business. So it allows our grads to be innovative and really think about different ways to grow and sustain the business and really get involved in our next big things and solutions. I mentioned that we are an international business and we've had the opportunity of our grads to work globally. So with being out in France and Germany, many of our grads have taken on short-term assignments in those areas. This year, we had a number of our grads go on a short-term assignment for 12 months in Canada, and then set back these pictures for the things that they've been getting up to there. So as I say, they work on various nuclear sites within various areas across the globe. Some of our grads actually join us on a summer placement. So before actually commencing as in a graduate scheme, they come and join us shortly for either a year in industry or a summer placement. A summer placement is 8 weeks long, and a year in industry is obviously 10 to 12 months. And we take on any university student who, you know, is currently going for university and they're looking for that next step in their career and they're not sure where to go. They can join us at any point. And the interesting thing about joining us on a summer placement or even in a year in industry is that you have a fast track into our grad scheme. If you decide to join us as a grad, you won't need to go for an interview or anything process. You're basically streamlined onto that next step. So our grad scheme, as I said, is open. It's open all year round, and it's, you know, really fun to come and join us. And we recruit into our business not only for engineers, but we also recruit non-engineering roles as well. And I've just put some links there, and I think we can send links around after if anyone's interested into our grad schemes that are open now, undergraduate placements that I mentioned. And we also have Connect, our which is a really interesting tool for those who are not sure where they want to go in their next steps in their career, or kind of really wanted just to reach out to find out more information about the grad scheme. You can actually have mentorship by somebody within Atkins Realis who has been a graduate before, and by entering into that link, you're able to liaise with them, find out next steps, how they've settled in as being a grad and then gone on to have a successful career within our organisation. I've also put a picture there because we do partner with the ECITB quite a lot within our organisation for our grads and our apprentices and those who are here with us on placements. We also have a link as well that we can share of our grads actually doing a forum for ECITB and an article, and they've kind of shared their beliefs and 5 nuggets of how they have an interesting and varied career within Atkins Realis. So that was what I really wanted to talk to you about today. Thank you so much for listening, and feel free just to ask more questions if you need anything. Thank you. I'll hand back to you, Matt.
Thanks, Letitia. That was fantastic. So a quick thank you to Laurianne, to Ginny, to Andy and Letitia for their assistance and insights today. We've got a few minutes left, so I'm going to run through some questions. Some of them are on the chat here and some of them I've had through social media. If we don't get to your question today, what we'll do is we will answer them all and put them up on our social media feeds over the next couple of days so that we will get to every one of you in due course, I promise. So what I'm actually going to do first is I'm going to drop the links in the chat to both the ECITB and the organizations that have been speaking with you today. And they are linked to either their main websites or their careers pages. The top one is the ECITB main career pathways, which will talk to you more about the industry sectors from a more general perspective and some of the opportunities open to you. But let's get to the questions. I think the first one is for Letitia, and actually you covered it a bit in your presentation, Letitia, but someone's asked, what role does ED&I play in the industry today?
Sorry, I was fighting to come off mute, and I don't think I've even turned my camera on.
Now we can hear you now.
Thank you for that. Sorry about that. ED&I, yeah, I'm very passionate about ED&I, and I'll really try not to make this answer quite long. But equality, diversity, and inclusion is really pivotal in our ever-changing market, and especially with Atkins Realis, we see it as part of our identity and our core values. So it's important that our employees come to work and they feel like they can be their authentic and full self every time, every day. We see that when someone is and they feel safe at work, they bring something unique to the table, and this does not only benefit the workplace, but I think we all would agree would benefit the wider society and the industry on a whole. At Atkins Realis, our motto is difference makes a difference, and it is this, embracing differences and celebrating how we as engineers create a better future. For example, we have had people who have joined us on our grad scheme into non-engineering degrees. So, for example, we are an engineering and a project management firm, and we've actually recruited teachers to become our project managers, and they've actually gone on to have successful careers in Atkins Realis, although not coming from that background before, but just having that diversity of thought has really made a difference to our organisation. So I think the industry is really awakening and embracing, endorsing ED&I strategies that are effective, because it's only through having those strategies that we're able to evolve as an organisation. At Atkins Realis, we believe that ED&I is just not about us, it's about creating that safe environment, fostering allyship and amplifying the stories of our employees. It's inspiring that next generation who are coming to work with us and being inclusive and ready to embrace them, whoever and wherever they are. So I think that answered that question, Matt, on ED&I.
It really did. Thank you so much. Ginny, I'm going to ask you to come back in now, because I've got a couple of questions coming in, all relating to maintaining a work-life balance as a graduate. And yeah, would appreciate your insights on this.
Sure. I think the first thing I'd say about a work-life balance is that it's a skill to be learned, and it's something that a lot of employees work on throughout their lives. So as a graduate coming into a business, you come in with lots of enthusiasm, and it's very easy to throw yourself into everything. What we try and do is ensure that you have somebody around you to help you acquire that skill of balance, and make sure, whether it's a mentor, whether it's your line managers, whether it's your peer group who have also been on the graduate program, they've gone through it the year before, to ensure that when you put your hand up, we figure out whether you're waving because you're happy or because you're drowning. We need to really understand how you're doing. So it's about putting people around you to ensure you get that balance. I think the other thing to say is that as an organisation, we try and make coming to work fun. I think all the speakers have spoken to that, making the workplace an enjoyable environment. Our graduates particularly do an awful lot on the social front, on the sporting front. They've done everything from paddleboarding, which was actually a very long pub crawl, all the way through to the weekly sports that they do. So having a community, I think, also helps with that work-life balance. But it is a skill. We all have to work at it, and it's having a support network around you. That's what I would say about that.
Thanks, Ginny. I think we've actually hit our allotted hour, unfortunately. So I'm going to wrap up before I hand back over to Josh from Career Map. On the screen there's a few suggested next steps for you as graduates. Please do scan the QR code. That will take you through to some more useful information. Like I said, we will take the questions that we weren't able to get to today, and we will answer them across our social media over the next few days. Please do follow us on Instagram. Our campaign, Engineering a Better Future, is filled with careers information and case studies particular to engineering construction, and we'd love to engage with you there. So thank you very much. You're on mute, Josh.
Good call. Thank you very much for that. And again, I do apologise for interrupting, but that is the allotted time up. I know there's a lot of questions in the chat, and I do apologise about that, but as they've said, they will get round to it. So yeah, basically all that's left to do is I thank you for everybody for joining. Thank you for all the presenters. You did a great time, going through everything so as clearly as you did. I hope everybody did find it insightful and useful. If you did miss anything, this was recorded and will be on our website and YouTube in the coming week. So that's Career Map TV. So yeah, all that's left to do is end the webinar, and thank you very much for joining. Bye-bye.